From darkness to light. Hello again, it's been a while. If you're here for the first time and you're from India and you come from a Hindu / Sanatan Dharma tradition, and if you're glad to see Caucasian folk like me trying to speak about quote unquote your tradition, then please do subscribe, share the video, like it, because in this way you're doing your bit to popularizing Sanatan Dharma around the world. If you're not from India and you believe that spirituality ultimately has nothing to do with geography and it's all about the soul and consciousness and God and so on, then also like it and subscribe, especially if you believe in karma and reincarnation, if you're interested in Krishna and the teaching of the Vedas. I want to talk about, speaking of the Vedas, of the Vedic conception of the self today, as it relates to a movie I saw yesterday called Unbroken, which is the story of Louis Zamperini. What's his name? Louis. It's a Christian, famous World War II survivor who became quite famous. And there's a scene in the movie which is sort of the climactic scene where he kind of turns to Christ. And I want to analyze that scene in relationship or in the light of what Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita, or the Vedic conception of the self. So if you're into watching this with me, then stay along. So in this movie, which is based on a true story, you have the story of this gentleman called Louis Zamperini, who before getting drafted and before going to Japan is a renowned college athlete who is a great runner. He gets captured by some Japanese troops and is tortured for a long time. He escapes and is left on a raft in the middle of the ocean for like 47 days or something. And he survives and he comes back to America, but he's got PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And as a result, he falls into alcoholism, and his wife is about to leave him, but then she gets really inspired by Billy Graham, the famous Christian evangelical preacher. And she convinces him to go to one of these revivals that takes place in Los Angeles when Billy Graham is there. He goes grudgingly, and he kind of, sees the light, and he remembers, and this is the scene I want you to see right here. He remembers a moment when he was floating on that boat in the middle of the Pacific, I guess, and he prays to God. He prayed to God. He remembered that, he asked God, if I make it, if I survive, then I'll dedicate the rest of my life to you. So here's the scene.
Save me. I will serve you forever.
Now, put yourself in his shoes. If you're like on a boat, you're about to die, you have no hope of survival, reaching out to God is pretty cool. And saying, if I survive this, I promise I'll serve you. In one very important way, there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually quite nice. It's better than nothing by far. You're turning to God, right? And this is where I want to bring in the Vedic conception of the self into this story. You see, according to the Bhagavad Gita, which is the main text of the Vedas, if you haven't read the Bhagavad Gita, I highly recommend it. There's some links in the descriptions. According to the Bhagavad Gita, according to the Vedic idea of life, we are spiritual beings inside a material body. We are spiritual beings inside a physical body. Our physical body has literally, ontologically, it's not that it's bad, it's not that we, look down upon it, it's not profane or anything, it's just that it has nothing to do with our real self. In other words, we are 100% soul inside a temporary material body, which has no connection whatsoever with who we really are. right? It really is a car, a vehicle. As a matter of fact, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita talks about this body as a yantra, which in Sanskrit means a vehicle, right? So we are riding the vehicle of this material body. So if you're really convinced that you're a soul inside a body, then would you pray for the survival of your body? Knowing well that, first of all, this body's going to die anyway, for sure. I mean, right? As sure as death. There's no physical body in existence that survives physical death. So our body's going to die. And if we're not our bodies, would you pray, please, my Lord, let me survive this? I don't know. I mean, I've never been in a life-threatening situation, but I would presume that if I was in such a situation, I'd be praying something more like, my Lord, if it's my karma right now to leave my body, if I'm going to leave my body, if my body's going to give up, it's going to die and I'm going to move on, I pray to you that I can go back to your kingdom after I leave this body, or that if I have to take birth again, if I have to reincarnate again, then let me, reincarnate in a body where I'll have further opportunities to think of you and to love you and to serve you and to chant your holy name and so on. But to pray for some sort of bodily related thing, I don't know, there's something inferior about it. I'm not like downing it because I've never been there, and I've certainly prayed to God for material things, material success in business, material success, in relationships, things related to the body. But technically, in a sort of an ontological sense, I think there's something to be said about remembering always and reminding ourselves that we are not our physical bodies. And therefore, and this is where I'm getting at, I'm going to end with this, that real blessings or blessings from God should not be seen or should not be expected to manifest in the form of some sort of material, bodily related success, whether it's surviving, being adrift on the Pacific Ocean for 40 days, or whether it's getting a new job or a new car or getting a nice wife or a nice husband, or you name it, related to the body. According to the Vedic conception, we are souls inside the material body, and therefore the real blessing of God is not so much what happens, good or bad, to the physical body, although Krishna does say that he preserves what we have and he provides what we lack. But we shouldn't go to the extent of praying for material things or for material improvements. The ideal is to pray that we stay connected to God and remember that we are not our bodies, that we're spiritual beings. So that's the thought for today. So if you like my videos, again, please do subscribe, because the algorithm then shows them to more people. More people see these videos. It's not about just me. It's not about self-aggrandizement. I am teaching a Vedic conception here, and this Vedic conception, the teachings of the Vedas, the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Krishna, are really important for this world. So if you subscribe, then the YouTube algorithm will make it visible to more people, and therefore more people can get benefit from this knowledge. So I promise, it's not only about me. It really is about the world. It's really about people out there. And you can do your bit in helping the cause by just subscribing and liking it and sharing it. Thanks again. All the best. Take care. And remember, we are way more than our physical body and mind.